Hey guys, what's going on? This is Campo and welcome back to my channel. So I haven't done a video in about a week, so I thought I would crank out two tonight. The first of which I'm going to be kind of giving you my opinion on some of the things that have been going on in the game, especially with this most recent update 18.1. There are some issues that have been affecting the player base, and even though I don't have the largest following, I do like to every once in a while do a bit of an opinion piece on some of the issues with the game and just kind of throw it out there so that you guys can argue with me, you can share your own point of view and just sort of get another thing documented so that we can all discuss these issues. So the three main issues that I see with 18.1, first are the changes to the champions. We certainly had the Archangel change with the stun immunity being able to be bypassed. We'll get into that. But there were some other champions like Drax and Black Suit Spider-Man and potentially Magic and Blade, which I believe the Blade one is fake news, but we'll talk about that as well. There are some changes to champions that were not in the patch notes, and we need to discuss that. The other thing I want to talk about is how every time there's a patch change, the AI seems to change ever so slightly. And is that something intentional? Is that a byproduct? We will talk about that. And lastly, we will talk about the assassin assignments and merc missions, which obviously had the bug the last day where you were locked out of getting any rewards, and also just how in general they suck and they are a step backward for the game. And I will not be participating in them too much because I want to save my energy and I don't need a very small amount of 5-star shards. It's not going to make that big of a difference. So let's get to the changes in the champions. So to summarize this, let's talk about Archangel first. So Archangel had this bugged ability, and let's be honest guys, it was a bugged ability where he was able to bypass stun immunity and nodes like Limber at the end of his neurotoxin. The stun would always last 1.5 seconds, even if they were stun immune. And the issue here is that this fact was corroborated as being working as intended by one of the lesser mods in the forums. His name was Kabam Wolf. He's definitely not Adora or Kabam Mike or one of the big shots who when they say something, it's like doctrine, it becomes part of the player base. But nonetheless, it was a moderator who said this was working as intended, and that has caused a bit of a stir where some players have been asking for rank down tickets specifically for Archangel. And to be honest, I am 100% for a rank down ticket for Archangel. Someone illustrated a very good point on the forum that they specifically ranked him up with their last set of tier 2As because they needed to finish Labyrinth, and they specifically wanted to use his ability to bypass Limber. That is how he is most effective in Labyrinth of Legends. He's also a potential killer of bosses in Alliance War, although he's gone a little bit out of vogue recently with champions like Blade. But nonetheless, he was a very good boss killer in the past, especially several months ago before Blade. But anyway, the bottom line here is I think in general people need to calm down. However, we do need to kind of admit that something shifty was going on, and the fact that it was written very clearly in the forums by a moderator's voice that this was working as intended. There should be some sort of caveat for any player that wishes to rank down Archangel, which I bet 99% of the players will not want to. If there's a specific rank down ticket for Archangel, like Brian Grant and some other people have suggested, I am 100% for that. My general note about the character is that he is still working like an incredible God tier champion, top tier champion, whatever you want to call it, where I really think that he is still one of the best champions in the game. He has his pluses and minuses. Whenever he fights bleed and poison immune, he's at a big disadvantage, which is great. It puts some balance in the game, but on all the other matchups, even without this crazy stun that he had, I still think he's a very, very good champion. You can do stuff like baiting heavies and getting those bleeds on. He is able to bleed his opponents with his regular attacks. He can still debuff his opponents. It's just you may not be able to get in there with those neurotoxin stuns anymore. I don't think it's that big of a deal for the character. Next up, we have Magic. So there's this interesting thing where something appeared on Reddit that apparently Magic had this ability that I didn't even know about, because I've been playing with Magic for a very long time. I had a 4-star forever, and she's one of my rank 4-5 stars. Apparently she's able to steal power when the opponent has no power. However, I'm going to show you a video back from January, and this is from one of my YouTube videos in the past, and we're just going to let it roll in the background. Note that this is on the power reserve node, but this was before power reserve was fixed. So basically, I want you to watch what happens. Let's watch that one. Whoops. Let's watch that one more time. We're just going to go back, and you'll notice that I do a power drain when he has 0 power, and I steal no power. So this is always how, right there. So no power is stolen. And yes, this is the power reserve node, but it was before it was fixed. So like she didn't gain anything from power reserve at all. I think this is a really good test case for how this ability worked. I always assumed, kind of like with Vision, that if Magic was trying to steal power from someone and they didn't have any power, that you know, she just wouldn't get any power back. She's still like an amazing champion. If you're aggressive enough, you can still get eternal power lock. I think that her ability to steal 0 power and like get a whole bar of power out of nothing, like it makes her amazing and even better, but it's totally not necessary for the character. And it's actually something I didn't even know that she could do. So sometime between January and now, this ability appeared where she has some kind of like memory, as Kabam Mike said, of like the power that she had just stolen, and therefore she will always steal power even if they have 0 power. So it's very confusing to me. And what I think happened here is they basically like retconned the past. And they said like, well, it's always been this way, even though it hasn't always been this way, as is clear in this video that I have and some other videos that some of my friends had. And basically, they were feeling bad for us because of the whole Archangel thing, and they didn't want to make it look like they were taking away someone's ability, especially such a beloved champion like Magic. And it's something that's not really game-breaking, being able to steal additional power. So they left it in. And if you ask me, I think that there's like a little bit of like a razzle-dazzle play going on here. Basically, this ability somehow got added in. It was not supposed to be added in, but they felt bad about taking it away, and they had to make a decision in their boardroom, like, do we want to piss off the players even more? And so they made up this weird story that she has, like, memory of stealing their power so that she could always fill a bar of power. So anyway, I'm fine with that because I love Magic, and now she's even better than she was before, but, like, I never knew that she was able to do that, and the player base went absolutely insane about this, and, like, I was just wondering why there was such a big to-do about it, because like I didn't even know this was one of her abilities. So anyway, Magic apparently got a buff with this, and I'm kind of into that because I love playing Magic. So there are 2 more sets of champions that actually changed, which not a lot of people are talking about, but they're still out there. And some of them are the evading champions. We have Spider-Gwen and we have the black suit SpiderMan symbiote. Both of them, we will look at Exhibit A here. This was right before the patch. I was just dueling with my 3-star black suit Spider-Man, and if you look, you will see that he has this little buff of the Dashing Man. This is an active buff that causes him to evade after he does one of his specials. After the update of 18.1, I did another fight, and as you can see, it has the light colored timer on it, which now means his Spider Sense is a passive effect. So this is something that was not talked about in the patch notes, but it obviously had to be something intentional. Once again, as you can see the difference, in the old days it was like a buff, just like a Fury or a Precision buff or one of those things. Something that could be nullified, something that wasn't a core ability, so it couldn't be ability reduced by someone like Black Widow or, you know, Elektra or like one of those types of champions. Now it's passive, which I assume that means it is able to be ability reduced, because that's considered an ability. So I guess Black Widow can now bypass it, but a lot of people enjoyed using a champion like Hood, who has Stagger, or Magic, who has Nullify, or Scarlet Witch, who has Nullify, so that they could just nullify the buff against this cosmic champion who has the evade chance, and now this mechanic no longer exists. So I guess in a way it didn't really change playing of the character, but when you're fighting him, like if you had to happen to have one in Alliance War and you had Magic and he was on like a power gain node and you fired off your special one and it didn't nullify, that could have thrown you for a loop. So I'm kind of interested as to why this change was made and like why it wasn't talked about. And the last character is Drax. Drax used to have an ability with his double medium hit when he dashes forward to bypass Astral Evade, and also bypass evades from things like Quake and the SpiderMan characters and things like that, because only the first hit would trigger the evade and then the second hit would always connect. So a lot of people use Drax to kill Mordo. And I think this is more like in medium tier alliance wars. Like, I don't think that a lot of top tier alliances are using Drax in alliance war personally, but he was a very good Mordo killer. And a lot of people, even though he had the class advantage, you know, if there was ever like a big stacked Mordo in Story Quest or something like that, they would bring Drax along because he has a lot of damage and you could parry him like normal. And this was 100% fixed, where apparently it was a bug and this wasn't talked about. This is something that a lot of players enjoyed about the character. It simply made him even better than he was, because he's kind of fallen out of style a little bit with some of the heavy-hitting cosmics, but he still hits pretty darn hard. And, you know, I was into Drax, especially for the Mordo ability. So why was this taken away? Does this mean now that, like, if you're facing him with Quake, that you'll be able to use Quake's normal abilities where she has the concussion and can evade, or is she going to get hit by him? These are questions I haven't tested out yet, but more importantly, the bottom line with all this stuff is that, like, people do need to calm down. Like, the world is not on fire. Like, the game is not that different. Like, Magic is technically better. Archangel is basically the same. Like, you can't really use him in Labyrinth as much, as effectively. But, like, the key is communication, guys. Like, if you're having moderators, like, corroborate one piece of information and then months later you're changing it, and, like, in the patch notes, they should have addressed that. They should have cleared the air right away and been like, we know that on the forums we said that this was an ability of Archangel in the past. And, you know, it was our mistake. We're owning it. And because of that, we're giving away such compensation, blah, blah, blah. If it was like that, it would be a much different story. But it's sort of, we're always being talked to from Kabam like we're wrong. And, like, it's this very condescending tone of, like, you know, you guys need to understand that we have a really hard job here and we're trying to keep everything balanced and fair. And, like, you need to give us more credit, instead of, like, ultimately your customer is always right when it comes to this stuff. And, you know, they just need to treat the player base better, and then I think there would be no issues. So anyway, that's sort of my little rant about the changes to the champions. The last two topics are going to be very quick. I just want to talk a little bit about the AI changes. So, like, every time there's a new patch, players are always saying things like parry is different. People are always saying, like, you know, the AI is just slightly different. And one of the things I've noticed is, like, the behavior of the champions is a little bit different in that it's very hard to bait specials now. I wouldn't say it's very hard. Like, I'm still baiting specials fine, but I'm noticing, like, in AQ and AW that, like, the bosses and, like, some of just the general defenders are just a little bit more defensive than they used to be. Like, I'm finding there's, like, a lot of dancing back and forth, and I'd be interested to see if other people are noticing this, that, like, baiting specials on, like, top tier content like AQ and stuff, where, like, they're normally pretty aggressive and you're just, like, you know, always evading back, is not quite working the way it used to. I think parry is fine, like, it's working the way it's supposed to, but, like, I swear that this is a thing, and, like, maybe it's just me and maybe I suck at the game, but, like, I had a boss fight against a 565 Iceman in Alliance War with Void. Like, I had full health. It should have been like a one-shot takedown. I'm really good at fighting Iceman. And I swear, he was at Special 2, and, like, 30 seconds went by where, like, he just wouldn't fire that thing. And I was doing everything that I normally do, and I kind of got backed into a corner and basically lost my rhythm and, you know, cost my alliance a kill. So it's just, like, interesting that the AI seems to always change. And like, I kind of want to collect a little bit of data, see if you guys notice any of that too. And my third topic, which will also be very quick, is these assassin assignments, or the merc missions, which are like the bounty missions. I just want to talk about those a little bit because I think they are such a hassle. They cost a ton of energy. Like, basically, if one of them is active, like, you can't do event quest, or you can't do, like, daily catalyst runs or anything like that, because it's going to suck away about half of your total energy. And just to do this, to get, like, 150 5-star shards. And, like, the timing of them is all off because basically they're using the 22-hour day system where, like, every 11 hours they come up, but they're only open for 4 hours. So I, like, completely have missed 2 of them so far because I was sleeping, and, like, that's fine. Like, okay, maybe I won't do some of them, but I'm really finding that I just don't have the time or the energy, especially after the last month with all that Infinity Dust. Like, I went all in for Infinity Dust. I got over 9 million Infinity Dust, like, bought the Awakening Gem, bought half of a tier 2 alpha. Like, I went crazy for Infinity Dust. I didn't miss a single dungeon. I did every trial and like felt like I got some pretty good rewards for that. But like this, if I did every single one of these, I might be able to form like a fully formed 5-star from it. But like, I don't know. I don't really need new champs right now. I need rank up materials and I need like gold and ISO really is what I need right now. So like for me, I don't really think that like more 5-star shards is going to be what I'm trying to like really grind for this month. I'd rather be doing things like Arena so I can get more units, do more Labyrinth of Legends, get some tier 2As from there. That's kind of what I'm hoping for. So anyway, that's kind of where I'm at. I think it's a little bit of a step back, especially when like the events were getting very good. Stuff like Modax Labs were really fun. Dungeons were really fun. There was some like great challenge in Dungeon 6. Especially like once you get to room 3 and above, it started getting pretty crazy. And then of course, like on top of all that, on the second day of Assassin Assignments, there was a bug where every time it reloaded, it said that you would 100% complete whatever mode you had just completed, so you didn't even have access to the rewards. So that kind of gave me an excuse to not do it. Now I guess I do have to do them because the bug is gone. But anyway, 18.1, it was not the best update. There were a lot of issues. I would love to hear what your input is on all that. And oh, we got the Yankees-Mets score there. Looks like the Yankees are winning. That's too bad. I'm a big Mets fan, as you all know. But anyway, that's all I have for you guys today. Thanks for checking out my video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up and please subscribe. I'm trying to get more content out for all of you guys. And just as a little bit of a teaser, I may be doing something slightly different with my channel going forward, branching out aside from Marvel Contest of Champions. I might be doing a little bit of comics and a little bit of like the history of characters like SpiderMan and Venom and some of my favorite characters in the comic universe. So look out for that in the future. Let me know if you have any suggestions for me. And thanks for checking out my rant. I will talk to you guys later.